Hey there, this is another video in my series, The Business of Making Music. The entire premise of this series is to try to share with you some of the things that I learned in my 40s that I wished I'd learned in my 20s. I think this one video may be the most important one so far, and that is collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. I've written songs since I was a little kid. In fact, before I even played guitar, when I was 7 years old, I wrote lyrics. I wanted to be Paul McCartney or John Lennon, like any kid my age in the 60s growing up. They wanted to be a member of the Beatles. And so I started writing these, I had a whole book of lyrics when I was 7 years old. And I lost it when we moved from Potomac, Maryland to Philadelphia when I was, I think, 8 years old or 7 years old. And so I actually have a long history of writing in a way. And then when I was 13 and I've been playing guitar for a few years, I wrote a song. I actually wrote it out in music notation. And it was that moment when I played it for my father, and he was very impressed that I actually could write and read music. The fact that that really impressed him impressed upon me that, hey, maybe I have some skills. When your father tells you something like that, it does mean a lot. And it was at that point that I really started to pursue music as a career, and guitar playing in particular. But I continued to write and played in cover bands, didn't really have any venue to use my writing skills or to develop my writing skills. So I played with some cover bands, and then when I moved to Los Angeles, I decided I wasn't going to play in cover bands anymore. I was only going to play in original bands because I felt like maybe those gave me more of a bigger opportunity. No record label is going to sign a cover band, but they may sign an original music band. So I started writing songs for my band, and basically my songs were my babies. Like, I wrote the melody, I wrote the bass lines, I told the drummer what to play, I wrote all the guitar parts, I wrote the lyrics. I was a one-man writing machine. And then when I formed a band with my wife, same thing. We did a couple CDs or cassettes, cassettes at the time, and same thing. My songs were my babies. I mean, I wrote everything. I wrote every bit of the song. And again, my songs were my babies. I did not want you to change a thing in them. So, however, I had this much success. I had no success as a writer. None of those bands ever got signed. And it wasn't until years later, I was working on a movie called Supercross. I was doing all the guitar playing on this movie called Supercross. It was kind of a rock soundtrack. And in fact, I think I talked about this before when I was talking about the different types of film music. So I was working on the score, and then the movie also had what's called a bunch of needle drops, which are just songs that they dropped into the movie, songs that they licensed. And one of the bands in that movie got signed, and they wanted $20,000 for the rights to use that song. And typically when they're making a movie, that's like the last money they pay out. Because if the movie doesn't ever get finished, why license a song? So by then they were way out of money, and they asked the composer that I was working for if we could write a song to replace that, some kind of rock song. And the composer friend called me and said, hey, we'll be on the cue sheet. Whenever it plays, we'll make a little bit of money, but they don't have any budget. Can you do it for $1? So I did it for $1 license fee. My friend and I, we wrote this song. And he sang it, and we wrote it together. It was a true collaboration. He recorded it and mixed it. He sang it. I wrote the lyrics and the melodies and played all the guitars and bass on it. It was a very true 50-50 collaboration, so we split it 50-50. Sure enough, I started getting checks for that movie. And that $1 that I took was nothing compared to the thousands of dollars I've gotten since then. That was 2008. This is 2019. In 11 years since, I've made thousands of dollars. I haven't added it up, but it could be as much as $10,000 or $12,000 from that one song. And it got me thinking that I may need to collaborate more, because that was an opportunity I couldn't have gotten to by myself. My friend had the opportunity. I had the skills, and we combined together to get those opportunities and to get that placement. So I had another friend that was working on the NFL Network, and I said, hey, how about if we get together and write some music for NFL Network, for Underscore, for highlight reels and things like that? And he said that would be great. So we got together once a week. I drove out to his house every week, and I would play guitar and bass, and he would play drums, and he would mix it, make it sound like a record, and we just wrote all these rock songs, just different styles and different eras and things like that. And we just got in the discipline of doing that every week. And he had the opportunities or the connections, but we never got the music on the NFL Network. But then when he transferred over to a game show, and he'd already worked on one game show, we began to get placements on the game show and the other game show. So we had a couple placements on game shows, and before you know it, we had a ton of placements on game shows. And that was network television every day, airing 5 days a week. And that, again, we're talking real money, stuff that I wish I'd known back when I was in my 20s. And so what I've done is I've made myself available to collaborate with people that have skills or opportunities that I don't have. You know, like for example, my friend who I wrote the game show music with, he was a great drummer, and he's a great engineer. And then I could play all the guitars, I could play some keys, I could program horns, all that stuff. I could do all of that end of it. I could write, and then we just came together, split everything 50-50. And currently I'm working on a lot of music for cable shows, and it's the same kind of collaboration. I'm doing a lot of the playing, and a friend of mine is doing all the mixes and all the stems and getting all the placements. And so again, it's a 50-50 collaboration. So my suggestion to you is to try to find people that you can write with if you're finding that you're struggling with actually having any impact in the business, making any money in the business. One of the things that we were taught in high school sex ed class and health class was that when you have sex with someone, you're having sex with every person they've ever had sex with, and they were trying to scare you into not having sex with everyone in high school. I get that. Okay, well, the same is kind of true with songwriting. Say you write a song with this person over here, and that person writes 10 songs with 10 different people, and this song over here that they wrote with this person became a big hit. And all of a sudden, they've got, this person here now has a publishing deal, and the publisher wants to hear all of their songs. And they've got 10 songs, and the publisher goes, oh, this is a nice song, the song that you wrote with that person. And they go, we've got a perfect placement for this. This is going to go on this record. And boom, now you've got a publishing deal, and now you've got a song on a hit record. It's kind of like, we call it the shotgun method of just getting yourself out there and just spreading yourself around and doing as many opportunities and as many collaborations as you can possibly do. So that's my suggestion to you. This is a suggestion not for guitar players. This is for anyone interested to be making music for a living, any musician, any songwriter, singers, producers, composers, anyone interested in the business. That's what these videos are for. So I hope this is helpful. It's certainly been helpful for me, and I just want to thank you for watching. Subscribe below, and I will talk to you later. God bless. Bye-bye.